All right, we're going to go over my answers to Merko's SAP quiz. I will link the quiz in the description if you want to take it before you go any further here, because I am going to spoil some of the answers. But I'm not going to go over everything. I'm just going to go over certain questions which either I got wrong or there's something interesting about them. So we'll just start with the first question here. The crab is a start of battle ability, but before that it had a question mark. Now I went for buy ability here, which is the correct answer. However, this is interesting because crab had a buy ability, but then before that it had a different start of battle ability. It used to copy health from the friend directly ahead of it instead of the highest health on the team. Although start of battle isn't actually an option here anyway, so you could be sure that you were clicking the right one with buy ability. All right, we don't have to jump too far ahead to find a contentious question. And to be honest, I have to give Merko credit. He's obviously spent a huge amount of time working on this. It's very, very difficult to fact check some of this stuff because, especially material from the test server, it's not readily available. But this one, I believe he actually gives the wrong answer at the end. So the question reads, a lot of the food and perks in the Golden Pack test server ended up getting their ability changed from the initial update. Name one food or perk that still has the same ability as when it was first added in the test server, excluding chocolate. And then he kindly provides this screenshot that shows us the original set of foods and perks. And yes, blueberry and bacon were both in there on tier 1 and they got removed eventually. But a lot of this stuff got changed. And my answer was egg. I said egg, although you can see here it's on tier 2 instead. It did 2 damage to the unit in front before attacking once, which is exactly the ability that it has now. However, Merko's 3 correct answers were bacon, avocado, and I think it was banana as well. And of those, bacon and banana are correct, but avocado is not, as far as I'm aware. And yeah, what I'll do is I'm going to show on screen the original versions. These have all been screen capped from SAG's video, which he put out on the day of release for the Golden Pack test server. So I can't see how they could not be the first ever versions of those foods. But do let me know in the comments if you disagree with me for whatever reason. Some of the old perks were actually super interesting, although many of them were very, very unbalanced. I kind of would like the old tomato back. I think hitting a random enemy would be much more valuable in the current version of Golden Pack because everyone just puts potato on the unit at the back, which makes tomato virtually useless. Alright, this one about the old video where the SAP dev is playing with his mom, asks how does the rat's ability work at that time. Now rat's ability has had a couple of changes and I wasn't 100% sure. So I wrote that the rat spawns in the back and then deals damage to the opposing unit. And that was a weird ability because you couldn't, most of the time you wouldn't see it happen. But if the rat spawned behind the other unit and then that unit made it all the way to the front and survived an attack, the rat would actually hit it. I can't actually find footage of this. I must have it somewhere on my channel or it'll be there on YouTube somewhere. But when I went and checked this video, I don't think it had the ability to actually damage the opponents. So I did say that the rat spawns in the back, which is what Merko was going for. But I added a little embellishment which may have been incorrect. Maybe Merko can reply in the comments whether or not I get the points on this one. Alright, next one that I got wrong. According to an old infected player video, in the very early days of SAP, what was the odds of triggering the fortune cookie? Now the funny thing is that prior to the quiz I actually had a conversation with Merko about this video because I sent him the link to it and I had watched it before. But of course I didn't memorize any of the stuff from it. So here I just made a value judgment and I said 30% because these two seem way too low for it to be worthwhile even at tier 2. And 40% maybe seems a bit odd, you know, it's a bit too close to 50. But in the end it was 20, so I was wrong on that one. And yeah, I don't know everything about SAP sadly. Okay, here's the next one I got wrong. Which of these pets was not in the first ever weekly pack? And although I've added all the weeklies to my database, I don't have them memorized, not really surprising. So my logic here was I went with starfish because out of these 4, it's the only pet you have to pay for. And I believe there's a weighting system where the paid pets are less likely to show up. Or at least there was way back. It may be slightly different now. So I got that one wrong. I think the answer was porcupine. This one I'm going to bring up, I did get this right. When the Highland cow was revealed to us for the first time, what type of ability did it have? I went for faint, which is the correct answer. However, that was just me guessing. And I assumed, like I think Sag did in the video as well, that maybe this had the ability of the Nyala or something similar, and ended up getting changed. So I didn't know this for sure, I just guessed correctly. This one I got wrong. When it was first introduced, what tier was Oyster in? I said tier 5. It doesn't actually say when it was first introduced on the test server or not. So I guess I should have assumed test server, but maybe that was just Merko trying to up the difficulty level a bit. I said tier 5 because that's what I think it was when it was first released to live. And then I think it was moved up to 6 after that. But actually the answer was 4. And if you check Sag's video that I linked earlier, you'll see in there that Oyster was indeed tier 4. Now this one, I kind of wish Merko had asked me about it beforehand, but I guess he assumed that I was going to take the quiz on the video, so he couldn't actually give me the questions beforehand. This one's just a little bit unfortunate because maybe he didn't realize how the bounty board actually works. So the bounties are ordered alphabetically, but they're also ordered by completion status. So as soon as someone completes a bounty, it moves to the bottom. And so this is a little bit ambiguous. What is the first bounty listed? So it doesn't say what was the first bounty listed. So I guess he meant at the time. However, it's a little bit unfair because these could all have been the first one on the list at any given time, depending on who'd completed them. So when I answered this, I assumed he meant what was the very first bounty that I posted. And I posted a bunch of them at the same time, but I think alphabetically it would have been Bison Fan Club was first. Definitely this one was in the first batch, whereas these ones were all added later. So if you treat this as the correct answer, RevGT actually got +2 as on that one. I think everyone else still got it wrong. Then this one actually mentions me in the question and I got it wrong. So what pet was the first one to be used for a 5 of a kind recorded on my challenge videos board? Now, I knew that some of these were very, very close together and it was going to be difficult to know for sure. The funny thing is, in my head, I always think about the first one being 5 Penguins by Kino, but actually it was 5 Monkeys and Flame got the 5 Crocodiles a few days later. So these were 2 very close ones, but I actually gave Flame the benefit of the doubt, so I got that one wrong. So this is another one about stuff on the website. The answer here is Orca. However, since Merko did the quiz, I think multiple of these have been done. In fact, maybe all 3 of them have been done. And I'll link Wombat's video in the description where you can see some of these being completed. But yeah, I think at the moment, maybe Reindeer hasn't been done, but I think these 2 have. However, the answers in Merko's video are still correct because at the time of recording, this was probably the only one that actually had the video proof. Reindeer had been completed by Oscar, however, he did not post a video of it, just a screenshot. Then the next question down is kind of funny. Name one thing the SAP community generally agrees on. And it's really interesting that all the guys basically wrote similar answers, that everyone agrees on the pets that are despised, bison. I think it was leopard tiger that Rev said. Well, I wrote leech camel is cringe. And most of the guys also used the word cringe, which is pretty funny. I assume Merko would give me the points for that. This one I'll quickly mention as well. I did get it right, so it's attack stat out of these. However, there are other considerations and not just the attack stat because the type of ability that the pets have matters as well. There are certain things that are very frustrating when they happen. The one that comes to mind for me is Crane and Toad. And I think the attack in that situation doesn't matter because the Crane will give the melon first and then the Toad will overwrite it. Maybe I should actually check that in the lab to confirm, but I think the attack there doesn't matter. It's that the friend ahead heart goes before enemy heart. Maybe I should be lazy and just ask you lot to check it and post in the comments. All right, the next one is quite a clever question. What unusual unexpected interaction happens here? This is another one where it would have probably been a judgment call on Merko's part whether or not I got the points. Basically, I wrote the skewer goes to the quote-unquote wrong pet. So the answer was that the skewer goes to these two. Same as SAG, I didn't see that it said level 2 here, but all the start of battle stuff goes first before the feint. So actually in Merko's answer, he gave a little bit of incorrect info in that he said that the attack on the snapping turtle matters here. It doesn't matter because all the start of battle stuff goes first. So that means woodpecker, then bat, and then the eggplant from the bat. So the worm's going to get pushed to the front. The snapping turtle will be feinted, but it will move back, and then afterwards the feint effect gets processed. Now that I'm saying this, I'm slightly worried that I've made a mistake, and people are going to correct my correction in the comments. Alright, this one I wanted to mention. I did get this right. I knew that Merko wanted eagle and orca here, but actually I think you could probably give someone a point if they said it's not possible for any of them to summon each other forever, because there's a limit on how many actions can actually happen in a battle. I'll link an old video from another channel that sadly doesn't post anymore that shows this in action, but you could have a battle where two pets just kept on attacking over and over again until the game basically says that's enough, it's over, and it's a draw. So yeah, I think if you wrote eagle and orca because you understood what Merko meant, then you should get the points, but you should probably also get the points if you're a real pedant and you said battles can't go on forever. Alright, next one I got wrong, and this one is the classic quiz failure where you don't read the question clearly enough. How many stats total does a level 2 elephant seal give to a 5-pet team when given a perk in battle? Now, the in battle part is important because elephant seal doubles in battle. I did not read this clearly enough, so I wrote 16 when it is 32. All the other ones I didn't mention I got right, so if you really want to calculate my score, then feel free. I think my score in the end would be pretty close to SAG. Not sure if it was above or below, depending on the judgment calls that Merko may or may not have made. But amazing job to him. I thoroughly recommend going and watching the entire video if you haven't done so already. And yeah, at some point I'm probably going to add a quiz to the website as well, so keep an eye out for that.